Varen had no idea why the esteemed College of Winterhold accepted him. His family were simple innkeepers, not mages, and as the carriage rattled through the final stretch of snow before Winterhold, he wondered where he would fit, knowing how rarely Nords chose magic over steel. Across from him sat a Dunmer girl with sharp crimson eyes. She'd dreamed of studying at the college since she was a child in Windhelm, despite the sneers of her neighbors. When Varen's gaze flicked toward her, she caught his eye.
Hi.
Oh, hi. What's your name?
Valera.
Oh, nice name. Where you from?
Windhelm.
Windhelm. You from the Grey Quarter?
Yes. Is that a problem?
Oh, I really didn't mean it that way. I was just guessing. You know how it is. It's fun to guess where people might be from.
It's fine.
So, were you born here, or...?
No, I was born in Morrowind, but... Look, we have arrived.
The carriage hit a bump, and their knees brushed. Valera didn't flinch, but Varen felt his face burn.
I'd like to hear more sometime.
Yeah, maybe.
Welcome to college, Varen. The college's courtyard was a flurry of activity. Sunlight dawned on the college's courtyard, catching on frost and fresh snow as the morning crowd gathered. Rooks on robes in shades and green swayed as people moved past one another. Varen lingered at a corner, half listening to the noise as his thoughts drifted back to Valera. He wondered briefly if she had crossed into Skyrim through the notorious Dunmeth Pass like so many others, and what that might mean. He wanted to ask more questions, like what house she was from, whether she worshipped the Tribunal. Archmage Savos Aren stood on a ledge in the courtyard, towering high above the crowd. All noise stopped as he cast the mass calm spell, Harmony, and a moment of peace settled over the crowd.
Welcome to the College of Winterhold. You stand in a place founded by Shalador, a man who proved that magic is neither blessing nor curse, only a tool shaped by the one who wields it. Make no mistake, magic is dangerous. It is patient. It waits for arrogance, for carelessness, for the belief that you will be the exception. Magic demands respect, for it twists the unworthy into ash or madness. Within these walls, you are free to study, but you are not free to endanger this college, or those within it. Any experiment that threatens lives, tears at reality, or exceeds your understanding will be answered for. Now, Mirabelle will take you to your dorms. Please follow her trails.
By the time the sun dipped low over the sea of ghosts, the dormitories had emptied again. Students drifted back into the courtyard in twos and threes, drawn by curiosity, restlessness, and the quiet thrill of the first evening at the college. A group of boys, second years by the look of their slightly less tattered robes, scanned the arriving students. "Look at her," muttered Torv, a cocky Breton. He pointed at Sylvie, a Nord girl with golden braids and a fur-trimmed robe, who was laughing with her friends near the Hall of Elements. Her cheeks flushed pink from the cold, or maybe from the attention. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and giggled, glancing away. Nearby, Kale, an Imperial boy, sat alone on a bench, his shoulders slumped. His spellbook lay unopened beside him, and his eyes were fixed on the snow at his feet. He had failed his first conjuration spell back home in Cyrodiil, where he had let loose an unbound direwolf, humiliating himself in front of a family that had expected far more of him. The college was his last chance to prove he wasn't a failure, but the towering spires and confident students only made him feel smaller. A passing group of girls didn't even glance his way, their chatter fading into the wind. Across the courtyard, Mira, a confident Altmer girl with sleek blonde hair and a perfectly tailored robe, strode past the ogling boys.
Hey, Altmer, got a spell for a smile?
I've got one for silence if you'd like.
She shot back, her voice like a blade. As dusk fell, the courtyard grew quieter. Students filtered back into the Hall of Attainment for their rooms. Kale, still on his bench, watched the stars emerge. He had made no friends and didn't even bother to. "I will try talking to someone tomorrow," he thought. In the dorms, Varen unpacked his meager belongings, thinking of Valera's crimson eyes and bold words. Across the hall, Valera traced the runes in her spellbook, her mind drifting to the shy Nord boy in the carriage. The next week, Kale, the quiet Imperial boy with perpetually slumped shoulders, sat in the corner of the Hall of Elements for the first lecturer restoration on basic wards. His quill scratched idly on parchment, but his eyes weren't on the instructor. They were fixed on Mira, the Altmer queen bee, who commanded attention without even trying. "Ah, There she is, he thought, the popular one. It struck him how strangely separate some lives were, even when they shared the same room. If someone were writing a romance about the two of them, it would need several chapters of improbable events just to justify a conversation. What would it even take? Not just to talk to her. Anyone could do that if they were brave or stupid enough to make someone like Mira actually see him. Maybe it would require flawless spell work, the kind that left professors speechless. Or perhaps effortless charm, the sort he'd never possessed in his life. A lineage of noble Ultima blood wouldn't hurt, or at least a recognized family name.
Ah, yes. All very well in theory, but wards are best understood in practice. One must feel the barrier form, must trust it to hold against force. You there, the young man with the quill that hasn't moved in 10 minutes. Stand if you would. Come forward.
Cale froze. His heart began beating so fiercely that even Lorcan's heart, still throbbing somewhere beneath Red Mountain, might have paused in surprise. Every eye in the hall turned toward him, even Mira's.
God damn it.
He rose slowly, shoulders hunched as if trying to make himself smaller, and shuffled forward.
Excellent. Now raise your hand, palm outward, and summon a novice ward. Focus on the magicka as a shield, not a wall. Let it flow from your core.
Cale swallowed hard. This would have been okay if it was his second or third month, but second week? The hypothesis from earlier flashed through his mind. What would it take to even be noticed by her? Apparently, it took public humiliation. He extended his arm, trembling slightly, and a faint blue shimmer flickered into existence before his palm.
Good start. Now hold it steady. I will test it gently.
A small, controlled bolt of fire had lanced forward. Not strong enough to harm, but enough to challenge. The ward cracked like thin ice, and the G-force absorbed by the ward spilt into Cale.
It's fine. I would have laughed a bit too.
You see, the ward did not fail because of weakness in the caster, but because the focus wavered at the moment of impact. Doubt is the true enemy of defense. Try again, young man. This time, believe it will hold.
Cale exhaled shakily. He raised his hand once more.
There, you felt the difference. Remember that sensation. Let this be a lesson. Wards are not about perfection from the start. They're about persistence. Even the most gifted among you must learn to trust their own magicka.
Cale lowered his arm, still buzzing with adrenaline, and returned to his seat on unsteady legs. He didn't dare look at Mira, but he couldn't help noticing, out of the corner of his eye, that she hadn't laughed with the others. She'd watched the entire thing with a quiet, unreadable expression. Somehow that expression felt far worse than her simply laughing. In the Arcanium, during lunch break, the gossip mill churned. Sylvie, the Nord girl with golden braids, whispered to her friend Tilda, a bubbly Imperial.
Did you hear? They say Joran and Alara were seen sneaking off to the Midden last night. You know, the creepy tunnels under the college.
No, do you think they,
Probably just studying alchemy together. Still, Alara's all shy and
blushing around him now?
bet they kissed at least.
The rumor had spread like frost across a window pane. By midday, half the college was convinced Joran and Alara had been caught shagging in a dark corner of the Midden, though no one could agree on who'd seen them. The story varied depending on who told it. Some swore it was a third-year couple, others insisted it was a professor and a student, which drew gasps and skeptical snorts. Torv, ever the instigator, claimed he'd heard muffled giggles and suspicious noises from behind a locked door, but no one could pin down names or proof. But the truth was less fun than the gossip, so the students let the story grow, each retelling. Varen, on the other hand, tried mustering up his courage to talk to Valera again, but every time they met, Valera's unbothered gaze cut his courage down. Mira, the undisputed queen bee, seemed above the gossip, though she heard every word. She strode through the halls, her robes pristine. When a first-year girl whispered to her about the previous rumor,
"Sounds like someone's imagination is stronger than their magic."
The girl giggled, awestruck, and Mira moved on. Cale watched her from afar and cringed at her snobby comments whenever someone said something. During a break between classes, he overheard Torv and his friends debating whether Mira was untouchable or just playing hard to get. "Bet she's waiting for a master mage," Torv said. Cale sighed. He was tired of everyone talking about Mira. No one seemed to talk about his incident at the wards lecture, which was good. But still, for safety, he took a book about wards and started reading it while eating to keep himself busy. The night was crisp and biting, the kind of cold that seeped into your bones and made your breath hang like a half-cast spell. Cale dangled his legs on the edge of the broken bridge. Skyrim was beautiful, harsh, unforgiving, but breathtaking in its rawness. He stared at the Sea of Ghosts, its name whispering of ancient tales, sailors lost to spectral ships, Dwemer ruins rumored to lie beneath the waves, and the restless spirits of Nords who'd braved the waters and never returned. Skyrim's lore was steeped in such stories, of gods and Daedra, of heroes and betrayals. Cale wondered if he'd ever carve his own name into that legacy, or if he'd fade into the cold, another forgotten soul in this brutal land. Would he accomplish something in life, or crawl back to the Imperial City, failure in hand? The Arcane University had already rejected him, only connections got him here. Skyrim didn't care for dreamers, it rewarded the strong and the capable. People like Mira, who seemed to bend every room to her will. He'd seen her earlier, answering questions with effortless confidence. It would be interesting to talk to someone like that, he thought. Even if he had no idea how. There were other beautiful girls, some even Imperials, but he had no idea how to even begin. At least he'd made one friend last week, Varen, the Nord from the carriage, who patiently answered his doubts. I'll stick with him, Cale thought. Maybe that was enough for now. A burst of laughter broke his reverie. Cale's stomach sank as he recognized the voices, Mira's clique. A trio of girls who trailed her like moths to a flame. They emerged from the college's gate, set out for a late-night walk.
Oh, look, it's the sad ward boy. What's he doing out here all alone? Communing with the ghosts?
Mira glanced his way, her green eyes catching the moonlight. For a moment, Cale thought he saw a flicker of curiosity in her gaze, but then Sylvie spoke again.
Maybe he's practicing for the most miserable mage award. He's got a head start.
The girls' laughter faded as they continued down the snowy path, their silhouette shrinking. Mira and her friends were now gone, their laughter swallowed by the wind. Cale wondered if she'd ever look at him the way he looked at her, as someone worth knowing, not just a shadow in the crowd. The Aurora danced above, Massa and Secunda watching over the Sea of Ghosts. Cale stood, brushing snow from his cloak. He'd go back inside, study his wards, and try again tomorrow. The next day passed uneventfully as usual. It was evening and Mira was taking a walk in the college's courtyard along with her friends. Cale's heart thudded, as it always did when she was near, though he kept his gaze low, his thoughts tangled. Across the room, Torv was fidgeting. Torv had been boasting for days about his plan to ask Mira out, claiming he'd crack that Ice Queen's shell. Cale had overheard him in the courtyard, his bravado grating but oddly enviable. Now, as the sun hadn't fully set yet, Torv saw his chance. He stood and strode toward Mira's group, his steps a little too deliberate. The courtyard quieted as heads turned, sensing something was about to happen. Mira was near a bench, surrounded by Sylvie, Tilda, and a few other admirers. Torv stopped in front of her, clearing his throat loudly.
Hey Mira, would you like to grab a drink at the Frozen Hearth today?
Mira tilted her head, her lips curling into a smile that was sharp enough to cut.
A drink with you, Torv. You can barely cast a spark without setting your robes on fire. Why would I waste my evening on someone who can't even keep up with a first year?
I just thought...
Thought what? That I'd swoon over your half-baked fireball spells and your, charming personality? Go practice your illusion spells, Torv. Maybe try asking out a skeever next time. They might be more your speed.
You didn't have to.
Cale watched Torv deflate like a punctured Atronak. But before he could finish, Mira was already off, and the courtyard had its fill of entertainment as the crowd slowly retreated back to their dorms. Torv stumbled back to his friends, his face a mask of heartbreak and shame. His buddies patted his shoulder, muttering half-hearted encouragements, but their eyes darted away, embarrassed for him. Poor Torv is done for. One first-year smirked and mimicked Mira's skeever line, earning a laugh from his friends. Cale watched it all. He felt a pang of pity for Torv, whose bravado had shattered so publicly. But he also felt a darker fear coil in his gut. If Mira could dismantle someone like Torv, who at least had the nerve to try, what chance did he have? The sea of ghosts lapped at the rocky shore far below the College of Winterhold. Kale sat alone, away from the crowd, his boots discarded beside him, his legs dangling over the edge so the cold water grazed his toes. The chill bit into his skin, sharp and grounding, a contrast to the weight of his thoughts. The aurora shimmered above, casting green and violet ribbons across the sky, while Massa and Secunda hung heavy. His spellbook lay unopened beside him, forgotten as he stared into the dark expanse, admiring this amazing lone spot he found all to himself. A small mage light hovered beside him. It bathed his face and the surrounding rocks in a gentle, intimate circle of light, the only brightness in that pitch-black shore. Mira, the Ultima Queen Bee, stood atop the cliff path, her silhouette sharp against the aurora's glow. She set out for a walk, but alone this time, away from her loud friends. The memory of the laughter, the shocked faces lingered, but it brought her no joy. Nothing did lately. The college, with its gossip and fleeting romances, felt like a script she'd read 1,000 times. Far below, in the shadowed expanse under the bridge, a tiny white dot caught her eye, like a single bright star in the vast expanse that descended the Great Stone Bridge. It pulsed faintly, almost imperceptibly, as though breathing, and for a heartbeat she wondered if the gloom was playing tricks on her vision. An inexplicable pull tightened in her chest, a whisper of instinct urging her close. Against her better judgment, her feet shifted toward the gates, drawn by the strange luminous speck beneath the bridge. She exited the college's gates and, to her surprise, found no guards waiting outside. Even the half-broken bridge leading back toward the courtyard unsettled her. A path branched off below the bridge, winding downhill to the shore. She had never noticed it before, curiosity perhaps, or simply the need to outrun the noise in her own head. The sky was darkening fast, swallowed by the encroaching black. Mira cast a candlelight spell, the soft orb bobbing gently at her shoulder, then plucked a nearby torch from its sconce for extra warmth against the cold already creeping across her skin. She descended slowly, following the bright white point she'd seen from above, watching it grow clearer with each step. And there she spotted him, a lone boy sat on the cold waters, a bright orb floating beside him.
Ward boy?
Mira?
Kale's heart began pounding all over again.